Welcome to my YouTube channel. You are on to Point Blank with Professor Nebulous. This is a channel that promises to feed you with all the socio-political and economic development in Nigeria. For some times now, I had wanted to actually air my view on so many things that are happening in our dear country. But on a second thought, I was just thinking that I think the people should be able to take care of themselves. But events have actually proved me wrong. We are so blessed, that's something we all know, in the country called Nigeria. But you keep wondering whether we are getting enough that we should be getting. And this is a political season, for instance. This is a period that Nigeria should be able to showcase her best to champion the cause of development in that country. But unfortunately, it's like we don't even field our second 11. It's like the fifth 11 that are coming up to champion the cause of Nigeria in this era. Unfortunately, all the people, particularly the frontliners who are asking us to give them our votes, are those who are of questionable characters. And these are people who should not even near governors at all. These are people who, if you beam searchlight into their past and all their pedigree, these are people who should cover their eyes in shame and even, be even afraid lest they be probed. But unfortunately, these are people who are still asking us to vote for them. Some are even, having this sense of entitlement, saying a milokon. I mean, this mentality, for instance, simply means that, it's a turn by turn, chop by chop. And nobody wants to bake the cake. Everybody just wants to eat the cake. Unfortunately, some people are still following sheepishly. People who have ruined our country. People who have made sure that we don't have school in that country. People who have made sure that we don't have a health center that can take care of common headache. People who have made sure that we don't have energy, for instance. So I've always argued that all the problems that Nigerians are having, particularly the youth, they are centered around energy. If we have energy, if what you call NEPA there, for instance, works well, there will be employment. People will graduate from school. They will not even bother government to want to, work in government. But they will be able, to establish their own small-scale industries. But in a situation whereby a graduate will have to factor in the cost of generator, the cost of powering his business before he thinks of establishing a business, all this will eat into his capital. And in fact, without power, without energy, no country will develop. And this energy we're talking about, billions of dollars have been sunk into it, and nobody is being called to question. And we had cases of previous governments who have spent, let me put it, quote and unquote, did they really spend it or they embezzled it? And these monies are on record that these monies have been voted, and yet we don't see any result, and nobody is being called to order. And these are the same people who are still being recycled, asking us to vote for them. Nigerians, sometimes I feel that we deserve the kind of government we get. What is stopping the youth, the vibrant youth, for instance, from actually calling out these people and saying that if you don't account for how you spend our money of yesterday, we are not going to allow you to do this, we are not going to allow you to do that. It's like we're all suffering from a kind of latitudinarianism that we don't even, we're just lethargic. We are so supinely lethargic that we don't want to do anything. Everybody is afraid of death. You are afraid of death, and yet you are dying by installment, because I don't see anybody who is actually living among the youth in Nigeria, because no job, nothing is going on for anybody, and people are taking to crimes all the time. And you say you don't know the cause of all these things? So there is no magic wine at all. Development is no magic wine. We have all it takes. It's just that we don't have leaders. And the youth who are supposed to take or own their government at this time are the same people who are following the old folks who have ruined their life, ruined their future. Now, distributing rice, distributing Gary and all this. These are I mean, the act of distributing this foodstuff, for instance, is an insult to common sense. Anybody who does that, in fact, is a red flag that the youth should even say, look, for distributing money, for distributing rice and gari and all these things, you are disqualified, because it means that you don't have anything to offer. No logical argument. I wonder why frontliners, for instance, cannot engage Nigeria one-on-one and say, this is what I want to do for you. This is how I'm going to fix this. This is how I'm going to fix this. Now, you avoid talking with the people you want to rule, and you are going to Chatham House. What an insult. So the youth should wake up now. This is the time for them to actually think, put on their thinking cap, not just following sheepishly. When they give you 10,000 this year, and you're going to spend that 10,000 for 4 years or 8 years, as the case may be, don't you think? Are you not tired of suffering? What is wrong with Nigerian youth? I mean, this is the time to wake up. We have not, I mean, we are in the era, but we have not actually cast our vote. And whether you like it or not, vote is going to be cast, and you're going to choose somebody for another 4 years or 8 years, as the case may be. Are you not tired of suffering? Are you saying that you can afford another Buhari regime for the next 8 years? Minus 8 years from the age you are in now, and yet you don't have plan for tomorrow. You don't own a house. You can't even rent a flat as a graduate. You can't even eat 3 times a day. You don't even think of getting settled down to marry and raise your own family. And time is going, and yet you can't think that people who have ruined your future are not qualified to go there again. What are you talking about? This is the time to own your future. In this channel, the title of the channel is Point Blank. I'm going to be hitting the nail on the head, no holds bar. If you want things that are undiluted, news as freshly just coming from the grapevine, this is the channel to tune into every time. And what I just urge you to do, to simply just click the subscribe button, so that every time I upload my YouTube channel, you'll be the first to get it. I promise you, you will never be disappointed. Point Blank with Professor Nebulous. Thank you for your time.